Today, we are diving into a really cool story. It's about the surprising connection between a visitor from the depths of space and, well, the flow of capital right here on Earth. This is the comet and the capital. So let's just kick things off with a big question, shall we? Can a celestial wanderer from a completely different star system, millions and millions of miles away, actually have an impact on your wallet? I know, it sounds a little out there, right? Almost like science fiction. But the connection is surprisingly direct. Let's break down exactly how. So here's our flight plan for this explainer. First, we're going to meet our interstellar visitor, the 3I Atlas comet. Then, we'll see how a discovery like this actually creates massive business opportunities and helps fuel the space investment boom that's happening right now. From there, we'll link that boom directly to the mission to Mars, and we'll wrap it all up with a few key questions and final thoughts. Okay, so first things first, let's meet the star of our show, the 3I Atlas Interstellar Comet. What is this thing, and, why is it causing such a stir all around the globe? So on paper, it's a celestial object. NASA's tracking it as it gets closer to Mars. But here's the kicker, the one detail that changes everything. It came from outside our solar system. This isn't one of our local comets just doing a long loop around the sun. Nope, this is a true interstellar traveler, and it's giving us a peek into a totally different corner of the galaxy. So what's the big deal? Why is it so unique? Well, that interstellar origin means it's literally made of stuff from another star system. For scientists, that's like getting a priceless sample from a distant cosmic world delivered right to our doorstep. It's a gateway to understanding how other solar systems might be put together. But just as important, an event this rare, man, it's a powerful catalyst. It just grabs the public's imagination and gets everyone excited about space exploration all over again. And that brings us right to our next point, because wherever you find a major scientific event and this kind of broad public interest, you are absolutely going to find opportunity. So let's look at how this cosmic discovery translates into cold, hard business. This quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. It's not just about the science, even though the science is totally fascinating. There is a very real, very powerful business angle here. You see, the discoveries NASA makes, well, they don't happen in a vacuum. They create ripples that spread out across the entire economy. And you can actually see this ripple effect play out in 4 pretty clear steps. It all starts with the science. NASA observes the comet. That observation captures global interest, right? It gets people like you and me excited about space again. Then, step 3, the financial community, Wall Street, they notice this excitement. And what's the final logical step? Boom. Investment starts flowing into space technology as investors and companies try to ride this new wave of momentum. So where's that money actually going? Well, we're talking about real, tangible stuff. We're talking about advancements in space travel tech, innovations in satellite communications, which, let's be honest, power everything from our phones to our internet, and of course, huge growth in the aerospace engineering sector. It all adds up to some pretty significant commercial benefits for the companies playing in the space. So let's dig into that a little deeper and see how this all builds into a full-blown investment trend. Because the 3I Atlas comet isn't just making a tiny splash, it's feeding into a much, much bigger wave in the space economy. And this is really the key point. This comet is acting like an accelerator. The trend of private money flowing into space, that was already happening. But a major, headline-grabbing event like this one, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. It makes the potential of the space economy feel more real, more immediate, to a much wider range of investors. And there are really 2 main engines driving this whole boom forward. On one side, you have the foundational government budgets from agencies like NASA. They fund the critical, super high-risk research. But on the other side, and this is where the trend is really speeding up, you have this massive surge of private sector eagerness. We're talking capital from investors, from corporations, all ready to jump in and commercialize these breakthroughs. And when you get public science and private capital working together like this, that's when you see explosive growth. And it's so important to remember, this isn't some brand new phenomenon. We've seen this movie before, right? Groundbreaking events, from the Apollo missions all the way to the first incredible images from the Hubble telescope, have always sparked these big surges in investment and innovation. The 3I Atlas comet is simply the latest catalyst in a long line, proving once again just how dynamic and event-driven the space economy really is. Okay, so with all this excitement and investment flying around, let's narrow our focus to one of the biggest beneficiaries of all of this,
the long-term mission to explore, and maybe, one day, even live on Mars.
The connection here is a straight line. As the 3I Atlas comet gets closer to Mars, it naturally puts a huge spotlight on the red planet. This renewed focus, when you combine it with the strategic importance of the comet's scientific data, well, it creates a super powerful argument for increasing the financial backing for NASA's Mars programs. That funding arrow is pointing straight up. And who gets to cash in on this funding boost? It's a whole ecosystem. I mean, of course, NASA's own programs are the direct beneficiaries, but so are all the related R&D initiatives at universities and labs across the country. And then you have the private sector, the innovative tech startups, the big established aerospace firms, and of course, the strategic investors who are placing our bets on the future of humanity in space. The impact is incredibly wide-ranging. For anyone watching the markets, this quote really ties a bow on it. This isn't just about a fleeting news story. This is about a fundamental strategic alignment. By focusing on the companies and the technologies that are building the tools for deep space missions, investors can literally position themselves for what could be one of the biggest growth stories of our generation. All right, we have covered a ton of ground, from the far reaches of space right back down to financial markets. To wrap things up, let's just quickly run through a few key questions to make sure everything is crystal clear. Okay, so let's recap the big takeaways here. First up, the comet itself. What is its fundamental significance? What's the bottom line? At its very core, you can think of it as a messenger from another star system. It's a rare, scientifically priceless object that's giving us this unique window into the wider cosmos. It's a true agent of discovery. Next key takeaway, the economic impact. How exactly does this thing flying through space actually affect business and investment down here on Earth? It all comes down to being a spark. It ignites public interest, and that interest attracts investment into the entire space sector. This directly benefits the companies on the front lines, the ones partnering with NASA and pushing the boundaries of what's technologically possible. And our third and final takeaway, why is the mission to Mars such a huge beneficiary in all of this? Why does that funding matter so much? It's because funding Mars missions is what fuels the entire engine of exploration. It drives the development of everything from robotics to life support to new kinds of propulsion. These are the technologies that will define the future of humanity in space. It is, quite simply, the tip of the spear. Okay, and before we finish up, a quick but very important disclaimer. This explainer is for informational purposes only, and it is definitely not financial advice. When it comes to investing your money, you should always do your own thorough research. So we end right where we began, with a question. The 3I Atlas comet is a perfect example of how a totally unexpected scientific discovery can have these profound economic and technological impacts. And it just leaves you wondering, right? What's the next comet? What future discoveries are waiting just over the horizon that are going to reshape our world and our ambitions? Next.